Hi everyone, I'm Diane and I'm going to show you how to make some curry chicken this morning. Curry chicken happens to be one of my favorite meals. I grew up with it. It's a part of my culture and I make it in lots of different ways. It's all about playing around with the ingredients. I sometimes make my own curry, which I did right here, and I sometimes use curry powder that my mom brings me back from Jamaica that she gets from a local Indian man that makes it from scratch. And sometimes when I run out and I don't feel like making my own, I go out and I buy some Jamaican curry powder and some Trinidad curry powder, which is the Chief brand, and I mix the two together to get the exact flavor I want. And sometimes I make my own. I change up the way I make curry. So I'm going to show you one way, which is your pot. You want to heat up some oil, and then you want to add, I'm going to go with 2 tablespoons of curry powder. I have my chicken all cut up. What I want to do is put my curry in the pot. I want to actually infuse the curry in with the oil. That's what's going to get the flavor out. Now, I like to have some of the cumin seeds in here. So all I do is I sprinkle some in the pot and just let it cook up for a few minutes. Now, if I want a nice strong curry flavor, sometimes you can add the powdered cumin, but what I do is I add some, this one is roasted, so it's much darker. I'm not sure if you can see it from here. But anyway, I can smell my curry. It's smelling really good. Like I said, you infuse it for a few minutes. This is what it looks like. And then I'm just going to add my garlic, my scallion, my onions, all into the pot. My mom actually likes to take some of her garlic, onion, and scallion and put them in a blender with a little bit of water and blend it out when she's doing her curry. You could do that as well. And like I said, you could change it up quite a bit, but the basic is oil with curry in the pot because you want to infuse the curry into the oil to bring out all the flavor. Once you're done, I have my chicken that's all cut up. You want your chicken in small pieces, not big giant pieces, because you want the curry to get into those pieces as you're cooking it. So all I'm doing is stirring this around just a little bit more. I don't like to use a lot of oil because I don't want my food to be too oily. I like gravy, so again, I'm going to add more water than I am oil to this pot. I just use the oil just to saute up my vegetables. Everything's all mixed up in here. I'm going to throw my chicken in, mix it up really, really good. Okay, what I did with my chicken when I cut it up, I ended up putting some salt and pepper on it. Okay, that's the only seasoning I put in here. So you can see curry's all over all my chicken. I'm going to leave it there for a minute. I'm going to get some water. I'm going to use like about a cup of water to my pot. So before I do that, I have my potatoes. Now, secret with potatoes, you want to peel them, cut them up. You want big pieces and you also want small pieces. The reason for the small pieces is when your curry is cooking in and coming into cooking with the water, which I'm going to add. Like I said, I'm using about a cup. I'm going to go back and add more later as needed because I want a lot of gravy. I use the potatoes in small pieces to cook down into the water and the chicken, and that's going to thicken up my sauce. All right. So basically, you can see everything is covered. And, you know, this is a lot of chicken, so I'm going to add just a half a cup more of water into my pot. I'm going to bring it, I usually do my temperature to like a medium high, and I cook it for about 10 minutes on medium high, and then I come back and I check the water. If I need a little bit more water to the pot, I can add a little bit more, and that's the point. I'm going to taste to see if I have enough salt to it, but I For me personally, because I know how much salt I put in when I marinate the chicken earlier, I'm just going to go with 1 teaspoon of salt more. And this is where you salt to your flavor, okay? I'm adding a teaspoon more, but I know I'm going to come back. You want spicy chicken, add some peppers to it. You can add chili powder, the pepper seeds, or you can throw in a habanero pepper or Scotch bonnet if you can ever find those. That's a Jamaican pepper. That's not, you can't really find them too much in the States, but I usually end up using habanero peppers. So again, I'm going to turn my stove up because I added cold water. It's going to take a few minutes to kind of heat up. I'm going to put a cover onto this pot and let it cover and simmer and cook on high heat for 10 minutes. And then I'm going to turn the stove down to a low temperature and let it simmer for another 20 minutes. And like I said, you're going to check for flavor. You're going to check for your water level. Don't let the water burn out of this pot because you want a nice gravy, and your gravy will get thick once some of those potatoes burn out of it. As you can see, starting to bubble. So again, I'm just going to put a lid on here and just let it simmer. And if you want to change up this recipe, which I do a lot, sometimes I put a little bit of coconut cream in here. Sometimes I put some ginger, and just to change up the flavor. And like I said, sometimes I mix up different curry. Do I want it stronger or a little bit weaker? Again, play around with it. But the key ingredient to cooking curry is you must saute it up in a little bit of oil so all the flavor from those spices and herbs get infused into that oil when you're before you add your chicken. Alrighty, I hope you found this recipe helpful. I'm gonna take some pictures and come back to it later. You can see, look, it's nice and bubbly, and we're gonna let it cook down for a bit before we let it simmer. Okay, and enjoy.